an experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Why do people want to die? You are now within minutes of horror, and your only chances of survival is hitting that like button. With that being said, let's continue on with the video. As a horror channel, I am very familiar with death and dead things. I have a great respect for death, but I have an even greater respect for living. And this brings my attention to the 5 people and the submersible that are missing in the Atlantic Ocean while trying to explore the Titanic. A quick Google search shows that there are many red flags when it came to this submersible company. As a billionaire, you do need some kind of intellect, some type of smarts to be a billionaire and to own multiple companies. Yet I can't help but fathom, where was this intellect, where was this smarts when it came to seeing the multiple dangers with this company? Now, yes, there is a real risk in everything we do every day. You can go into a car and it can crash. You can go into a plane and it can crash. But we live in an information age. We live in an information bubble. And a quick Google search of the submersible company and the submersible shows that it could have been a real death trap. And you have to ask yourself, were the people who are doing the exploration, were they walking that fine line between death and living, being thrill seekers, or did they actually want to explore the Titanic? The company in charge of the submersible mission to the Titanic that disappeared this weekend received several prior warnings that its approach may be too risky, including lawsuits from former employees and warning letters from fellow industry professionals. Ocean Gate Expeditions, a submersibles touring company, was founded in 2009 by pilot and aerospace engineer Stockton Rush. Stockton Rush is one of the 5 people on board the submersible that went missing on Sunday when it went on its mission 12,500 feet below sea level to see the Titanic. OceanGate, the company, had previously been cautioned about the safety of its vessels by an ex-employee. In response to a lawsuit accusing him of breach of contract, British submersible pilot and diver David Lockridge alleged he was fired by OceanGate in 2018 for raising critical safety concerns regarding OceanGate's experimental and untested design of the Titan, the same submersible currently lost at sea. And this brings me back to what I said previously. There's real risk in things we do every day. But are you going to buy a car where you're being told this has not been tested on the road, it's an experiment? Are you going to get into an airplane where you're being told it's not been tested in the skies, that it's just an experiment? Ex-employee David Lockridge alleges he raised concerns in a January 2018 report and in a subsequent meeting about OceanGate's refusal to conduct critical non-destructive testing of the experimental design of the hull. He also added that he disagreed with the company's desire to dive the submersible without any non-destructive testing to prove its integrity and to subject passengers to potential extreme danger in an experimental submersible. David Lockridge was fired shortly thereafter. Now, this does fall in line with the theory that the submersible did indeed implode, which is why they can't find it anywhere, and maybe pieces of the wreckage are scattered among the Titanic. And if that is the case, then death was surely swift. It was quick. I am going to be honest and say that is definitely the better alternative than being stuck underwater, nobody able to rescue you, and oxygen running out, and you're waiting for death to come. That is a nightmare of a scenario. That is a horrible way to go. The best scenario is them being found alive. There are reports that rescuers are hearing sounds coming from under the ocean. Now, ex-employee David Lockridge's report was not the last warning OceanGate would receive. Later that year, more than 36 industry leaders sent a letter to Stockton expressing their unanimous concern about the Titan and urging him to test the vessel with an accredited outside group. The letter, organized by the Manned Underwater Vehicles Committee of the Marine Technology Society, warned of negative outcomes ranging from minor to catastrophic that could occur if the company continued with its experimental approach. The signatures included those who are oceanographers, submersible company executives, and deep-sea explorers, real professionals. The submersible industry as a whole, there was not one person who did not have significant concerns over the strategy of building a deep-sea expedition submersible without following existing classification safety guidelines. And nowhere can I find that this submersible, the Titan, ever met industry standards, that this vehicle for all accounts and purposes was just a test. It was just an experiment. Wow, this is a horror story. This is absolutely frightening. This has unlocked a new fear into me. Imagine going 2.5 miles under sea level near the Titanic in an experimental vehicle not approved by the industry. Now, this gets even crazier. Stockton Rush responded back to the industry stating regulations were stifling innovation. Rush was quoted in a 2019 Smithsonian Magazine piece expressing similar sentiments, bemoaning the fact that the submersibles industry has not innovated or grown because they have all these safety regulations. I had to break out my reading glasses for that. The CEO of a submersibles company that goes 2.5 miles under sea level to meet the Titanic is complaining about safety regulations. Let me say that one more time for people in the back. I just read a 2019 article about a CEO of a submersibles company that dives underwater 2.5 miles underwater to meet the Titanic head on, has concerns about safety regulations. The 4 people who paid $250,000 for this mess were better off just giving me $200 a piece, and I would have driven them to the Titanic Museum. I am not making light of this situation at all. Trust me, I am not. This is craziness. This is nightmare fuel come to life. Imagine going on an airplane 30,000 miles in the air. You're on your phone reading about the captain who's flying you, and you see a quote by the same captain saying, "I do not care about airplane safety regulations." Imagine me reading an article about a CEO of a airlines company saying, "Our airlines does not care about safety regulations," and my wife telling me we have to get on this airline even though I just read this article. I am signing divorce papers because nobody can lack this much common sense. And I can't help but wonder, did the people who paid to board this submersible, were they really wanting to research the Titanic, or were they thrill seekers? And if they were looking for a thrill, then that's really sad, because one of the individuals, Shahzada Dawood, brought along his 19-year-old son. Reading this article on Rush only gets worse. Rush specifically criticized the Passenger Vessel Safety Act of 1993, which imposed new standards on passenger vehicles for hire for prioritizing passenger safety over commercial innovation. So he didn't care if he was being safe, as long as he was being innovative. OceanGate Company posted an article on its website that same year about why its vessels are not classed or assessed by outside inspectors like those the letter writers recommended. The company stated bringing an outside entity up to speed on every innovation before it's put into real-world testing is a real harm to rapid innovation. These people paid $250,000 to sign their own death warrant. Even if everything went right, these people still experimented with life and death. They do go on to state this does not mean that OceanGate does meet standards where they apply, but it does mean that innovation often falls outside of safety regulations. This company was not hiding this. They were very upfront with saying, we don't care about safety, innovation comes first. And all it took was a quick Google search to find that out. I would think if you're going to pay $250,000, $250,000, for a once-in-a-lifetime event to see the Titanic, you're really going to do your research on this company. Now, you don't need to be a professional to know the real dangers of going 2.5 miles under sea level. There is also the fact that Rush is using a gaming controller to control the submersible, but this is a form of control that is also used by the Navy and other submersible companies because it does offer better control of the submersible, so he's not doing anything wrong in that case. But if there is a vehicle where my life is in the hands of a gaming controller, I am not going on said vehicle. You could not pay me $250,000 to even board it. I am a gamer. I know how quickly these gaming controllers break. My PlayStation 5 controller I only had less than a year has already broken. My characters move to the left when I am forcing it to go to the right. We're talking about a next generation PlayStation 5 controller breaking down less than a year. Now it does look like these 4 people did not do their proper research into this company, or they were just seeking a thrill. In any case, at the end of the day, I do hope all 5 of these people are found safe. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.